again, we are in the 21st century. We are in this sort of like a transitional phase today where India now is, everyone is looking at India as a global superpower.
Hello everyone. Today we have with us Ankita Patil Thakre, who is the youth president for Pune district for BJP. She is the granddaughter-in-law of Balasaheb Thakre and the daughter of former cabinet minister Harshvardhan Patil. So welcome on our show, Ankita Thakre.
24th June is my voting happened, and I won with the highest margin in the history of Maharashtra for Zilla Parishad.
Also coming to BJP, how do you think BJP is different as a government?
Speaking with the Russian president, and we are sort of, trying to balance out the situation between Russia and Ukraine. Today, we hosted successfully the G20 summit, which has been massive. I mean, today like 2 weeks ago, we also signed the free trade agreement, which was in negotiation for 16 years.
तो हम जब छोटे थे हम बहुत सुनते थे कमिंग बैक टू योर ग्रैंडफादर इन लॉ कि लोगों को बहुत जस्टिस मिलता है जब वो बाला साहेब ठाकरे के पास जाते हैं.
I think for my friends from Europe or from the US, where it's a very independent lifestyle, I feel what they love about India and what sort of connects me at heart is the fact that the warmth we Indians have. And youth plays a very important role, because I think the energy the youth brings in, the technology, the know-how of technology, the know-how of the actual ground level issues that are there. I feel the party has, or like our Prime Minister and the whole government in the center and in the state, has done so much work for the development. Now, if I have to speak of the work, or I would rather highlight the most impactful work that they've done, which is infrastructure. You speak of the roads, the railways, the highways. Then when we see an Atal Setu, it's again been like an absolute transformation for people who are living in Mumbai and who wish to go to Navi Mumbai, Pune, or that part of the area. Then we speak of the coastal road, which is such a relief for us people in also living in Mumbai.
So that means we've already hit the BJP has already hit the bell button for winning.
100%. There are no doubts about it. Now the only question is the numbers.
So, ma'am, let's start with what did you study?
So I did my master's in strategic management, and my undergrad degree was in business management. After that, I went to Harvard. I did my leadership in politics from Harvard, and also I did my sustainable finance and investments. So actually, in terms of my education, I have sort of focused more on the business aspect of it, because my family always said that, politics or social life, as and when it happens, it unfolds great, but always have your business degrees with you and your business acumen sort of perfect it very well, so that sort of will help you throughout. So that's why my education has been more on the business management and the strategic part of it, but I've also studied leadership in politics.
So you think that it is very important for women to take care of how they come up in life and take care of finances, and they should study it so that they are more independent and do well in life?
Absolutely, because education is the fundamental, and you never know what circumstance comes to you in life, so you always have to be prepared, and eventually it all sort of boils down to our rosy roti. So I think being women, or men for that matter, women, because everyone's highly educated today and has equal opportunities today in the society, so it's very important to have a solid degree and a solid base as well, be it in a well settled job or be it in a business.
How did you think of joining politics? Was it because of your background, that means because of your dad, or you think you were really interested?
So growing up, I have seen politics all throughout. I always thought maybe at a much later stage, maybe sort of post my 40s is when I would sort of venture into it, because by that time I would be a bit more settled. But those are, of course, plans, and nothing ever in life goes as per the plan. When I was 27 in 2019, that's when the opportunity came by. My grandmother had contested from this particular seat for Zilla Parishad, and she unfortunately passed away. And 3 months later, and then it was a women's seat. 3 months later, all our karyakartas and all our voters, especially the youth, they came together because I was working with them at the back end and for my educational institute work. That's when they all came together, and they, to my father and to everyone, and they said that, we need a youth face and we need her to be in it. So then the time was very crucial at that time because we had just faced a loss in our family, and we were sort of grappling with that. And when the opportunity came by, I had literally 2 days to decide. And then when I did, my father and my parents sat me down and they discussed with me the pros and the cons and the way my life is going to change. And I was somehow, I mean, there was a voice inside of me which was ready for it, and I went for it. And since then, it's been a good journey.
How did you start? What was the first post that you, or the first designation that
So
you?
I contested as a member for the member of Pune Zilla Parishad, and I had honestly, it's like 24th of May. I still remember is when the whole idea came to me. 27th of May is when I filed my nomination, and 24th June is my voting happened, and I won with the highest margin in the history of Maharashtra for Zilla Parishad.
Wow, that's quite an
And
achievement.
Zilla Parishad is ground level work. It's absolutely ground level. So at that point, my father, especially my mother, was like a strong, backhold supporting me. But my father always thought that you've studied in London, you've lived in the US, you've moved back. Are you sure? Because this is absolute ground level work. It's basic, everyday necessity like road, infrastructure, medical conditions, Zilla Parishad schools, employment. It's absolute ground level work. Are you ready to do that? Because you have to listen to people are going to come with you with 10,000 problems every single day. And I just don't know, I just had a voice in my head that I'm ready for it, and I went for it. And I actually didn't know, like in a month my whole life changed.
Somewhere it is in the blood.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Honestly, the fact that I'm sitting in front of you and speaking, I think it's growing up and seeing my father and my grandfather speak, listening to all those conversations we've had at home with my mother. And now that I'm married, of course, all of the conversations that I have with my husband. So I feel it is, of course, there in the blood. It is there in that everyday grooming. So it's never like a one full day where you wake up and you say that, I'm there. It's that every single day that matters.
You also married in a very, very influential family to the Thakres. Your daughter-in-law of Bala Sahib Thakre, granddaughter-in-law. That's a very big, I would say, crown or the feather in your cap. How does that, help you or not help you in your journey?
So honestly, it's been a wonderful journey. It's been 2 beautiful years, and I mean, like I said, of course, the political ideologies are very different, but at the core, it's the same. It's serving people. It's being there for the people. The mechanisms, the way, the thoughts, the ideologies are prima facie different, but of course, we are also in BJP. Is also a Hindutvavadi party who believes strongly in, and so does the Shiv Sena. So it's honestly a lot of give and take, a lot of information sharing, and a lot of experiences. I mean, it's beautiful, honestly. My grandfather-in-law, the kind of legacy he's built. Growing up, I've of course always seen it from the other side, but now, of course, seeing it as a family member and hearing, unfortunately, of course, I can only hear all those memories. I mean, with every single day, there's no single day in the house that goes where he's not discussed, his thoughts not discussed, his memories are not spoken of. And it's beautiful, it's amazing.
Yeah, because I feel like personally, he had a very different frequency, a very different vibration, and he brought it on the table. He brought it to the city, he brought it to the state, and he just gave his 100% to everything that the state required. So he is really also coming to BJP. How do you think BJP is different as a government than the previous government?
So BJP focus primarily on development, and again, we are in the 21st century. we are in this sort of like a transitional phase today where India now is, everyone is looking at India as a global superpower. India has carved a massive niche for itself. Like no matter in which country you go to, India is, spoken of, referred to, respected, and everyone is very very keen in terms of even investing now in India. I personally feel that all of these factors are primarily responsible because of the utmost important factor, that is our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. I think it is his vision, his manifestation, and his conviction that today India is no longer just a developing country, just a country which, oh, maybe 20 years later or 30 years later can become a superpower. We are almost there. Like today we are honestly speaking with the Russian president, and we are sort of trying to balance out the situation between Russia and Ukraine. Today we hosted successfully the G20 summit, which has been massive. I mean, today like 2 weeks ago we also signed the free trade agreement, which was in negotiation for 16 years. And this is something which has been phenomenal. So now a lot of companies from Europe can invest heavily in India. And having said all of it, we are only and only heading towards a much better and a much evolved India.
You must be knowing a lot of people from, where you studied. Suppose you
Yes.
studied in the US. They must be your friends. So, how did you see this whole transition from when you studied till today? How has their thought process or their way of looking at us changed?
Honestly, when I was living there and when we used to say India, they only sort of referred to us like they thought India is like a smaller country, and India, they didn't get into the nitty gritties of it. They maybe just knew Mumbai and Delhi. But now that we are on a global spectrum, and the way we are spoken of, and our Prime Minister is being invited to the US 4 times, and with all the two prime ministers, presidents the US has had, he shares such a great rapport with them. He goes to Madison Square Garden and he speaks. He at G20, when he's so successfully hosting it, and he's expressing his views, where he's getting the best of the all the presidents of the G20 countries, the prime ministers, to India. So I feel this sort of does send out a very strong message, and they know that India is honestly has upped its game, and how, and everyone really is looking at India from a very different lens, which is, I mean, being an Indian, I feel really really proud.
Proud. Have you heard any of your friends or anybody saying something that really caught your heart about our country? Like, sometimes they just say something that is so good that we can connect. Okay.
I feel the warmth, because in our Indian culture, it's such a cohesive culture. It's such a warm culture where we've grown up in really big families, and everyone is so sort of attached to each other. I think for my friends from Europe or from the US, where it's a very independent lifestyle, I feel what they love about India and what sort of connects me at heart is the fact that the warmth we Indians have, even be it in terms of when we greet each other, even if we probably have not, like how we've just literally met for the first time, but we've heard of each other, but then the warmth which is there, that is what I think all the people
Goes.
in all my friends, in fact, in Europe and the US are really, they love that about India. And then the second most important thing is the food.
Yeah. So that pyar se khilana,
Of course,
that goes.
the hospitality.
Yeah. Like, so ma'am, uh, how do you envision the role of the youth in the politics today?
So today we are in the 21st century, and India is at a massive growth,
Transformation.
transformational path right now, and youth plays a very important role, because I think the energy the youth brings in, the technology, the know-how of technology, the know-how of the actual ground level issues that are there, because politics at every time it keeps evolving. That's like one industry like many others, but like rather the uniqueness of politics per se is the level at which it keeps on evolving. So to sort of keep up with that, youth being in politics is very very important. It's very transformational, and if we want the real time issues to be addressed, I think we need in every government a good blend of the youth, as well as those who have of course been there for a decade or 2 decades old. So like a good blend of both the energies are, I think, required.
So, have you seen that the youth are participating in a very, very, I would say, um, in a manner that they are all out to do it? Have you seen this kind of people come and, or it's just been like, no, there's still, there's a lot to learn for them, or there's a lot to do for them? How does it go?
In politics today, I think youth are playing a very important role, and the major reason behind this is social media. Because of social media, be it Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everyone, no matter which part of the country or the world they are aware of what is happening at every second. So, having said that, they are really involved in the whole process, and everyone eventually always has this feeling of change. Like they want to sort of implement certain things, certain programs, certain schemes for the development, for the betterment. So, I feel youth are massively inclined towards it, be it from the grassroots level, right from the Gram Panchayats to the Zilla Parishad, to the MLA, to the Member of Parliament, to a new sort of fresh young cabinet as well. So I feel the youth are there in every stage.
So, social media, you say, is a very, very important role, plays a very, very important role. Uh, you think it also does the wrong, or it's only benefiting?
It's a double-edged sword because extra information about anything is dangerous. Social media today is, of course, providing people with extra information about everything you're doing at every single point of time. And people, I mean, we also, as the youth in politics, we face a lot of trolling as well for everything that you do. Having said that, being in politics today is a 24-hour job. I mean, we have to prioritize um, the travel, the work hours. It's a lot of work that goes in. Of course, not every time, everything we would be perfect, because as a youth, I mean, as a 30-year-old, of course, there are a lot of, how would I say it? Times when you might say something, you might go wrong, or you might do something amazing, but we are exposed to trolling at all points of time. We are exposed to sort of criticism at all points of time. We are expected to deliver our utmost best, much beyond our capacity at all points of time. So it is a double-edged sword. Back in the day, no one really knew if you were in some one small village and you gave a statement. But today, sitting in that one small village, somebody who's sitting in Delhi or somebody who's sitting in Calcutta or down south can have an access to you and control you. So it can go both ways.
So, social media, basically, when we were talking so much about social media, but it has got in benefited for all of you. Because if you see Modi ji, he started off with social media. He brought it with such a big bang that everybody knew about him and everybody wanted to know more about him. So, other than that, what do you think? How else could you do the work if it was not only social media?
So the prima facie and the most important thing in politics or in social life is connect. And that connect, especially because from the area I come from, which is a rural belt, and a lot of India, a major part of India, of course, is still very rural. The most important thing is the human factor, which is connect. Because for us, when we are working on the ground, it's about being there for all the weddings, being there for all the good and the bad moments in our people's lives, physically being present in all the functions and all the events and all of those factors. So whatever, social media, of course, is amazing, but what a one-on-one connect or a personal connect and or a presence, what that can do, social media can't.
So what happens? Why do all of you concentrate so much on going for these events? What is the thought process of the villagers when they want to invite you for this? What do they think? कि शादी में आना है? Why would it be like that?
So it's a I can't really say a trend, but I feel in the rural areas, especially now, if I have to speak for Indapur, everyone there, it's like my family member is just not me, my husband, or my parents or my brother. Family members are each and every person staying in each and every village. So हमारे घर में जब शादी होती है, how we end up inviting our family members, that's how they consider us. So I would tell you, so that's why being there present, so it's like no matter how many weddings, no matter how many, sometimes a lot of birthdays, a lot of baby naming ceremonies and lot of these activities. They think that you are a family member of theirs, and that, like I said, that warmth, that connect, it's amazing. Like, that's so strong. That's what they feel. They really love you and they really connect with you at that level. That's why they want to invite you, for their ceremony. And I feel that's the whole beauty of rural politics, or the social life in the rural area, because that connect, and it's very raw, it's very unfiltered, it's very real. So that's why, being present there, then there are days when we are doing 30 weddings, or we are doing like 20 other functions. It doesn't matter. Like, you start your day at 7 a.m., you're home by like 10:30, 11 in the night, but you don't feel even the inch of tiredness, because it's for your people, and the warmth and the love is amazing.
And they must be really happy looking at you or seeing you attend their functions. So-
Absolutely, because for them it's like once in a lifetime sort of an experience, because it's their wedding, in
Right.
the family.
Right.
For us, we might attend 30 weddings, but for them it's like that one wedding, their son's wedding or their daughter's wedding, which is going to
Right.
be like once in a lifetime experience. And if when you actually go and grace that, for them it's very, very personal.
So in the rural areas, it's all about agriculture. Where do you see that industry going?
So now, we are in the 21st century. Agriculture, of course, is a major factor. But alongside that, there are a lot of agri-allied businesses that are coming in. During COVID, especially, a lot of the youth who used to work in Pune or Mumbai or other metropolitan cities. So one good thing that has happened is a lot of them have moved back home. They've moved rural. So when they've moved with their kind of education, they're bringing in mechanization in agriculture. When they're doing agriculture, there are several other allied businesses that they're doing, be it big or small. So then they're also looking at second, third, or fourth sort of streams of incomes, staying in their village. So when they actually do that, I feel it's the rural economy that is sort of being clustered well, which is sort of progressing. It's not that if one wants to progress, they only have to go to metropolitan cities. Today, staying in a rural area also, one can do multiple businesses, have multiple streams of income in and around agriculture, and still prosper.
Anything different that you have seen in agriculture that has happened now? Like there's a lot of organic stuff happening. There's a
Yes.
lot of organic farming. There's a lot of natural farming. They're different from each other, and that is what we heard from the Prime Minister. So, is it really different, or how do you think, and where do you think this is going? Are we really doing the right things for organic farming? Are we making it like we are going to bring it to to ghar ghar mein aana chahiye? Ki we are still looking at a lot of pesticides, a lot of other kind of farming still.
So, organic farming, of course, is the most sought after mechanism right now, especially in the rural area. In Maharashtra, if I have to speak, in certain crops, of course, there are a lot of pesticides that are required. And as now, I mean, I wouldn't want to get into the technicality aspect of it, but when it comes to the organic farming, like if I have to give an example of a company which sort of has their base in my Zilla Parishad constituency in Indapur, it goes by the name Two Brothers Organic Farm.
Right.
So Two Brothers is like actually started by two brothers, and they are very close family friends, and we've known them for like the longest time. So they have the most organic your ghee. Then they have the most organic millets, like right from your barnyard millets to your foxtail millets to your organic jaggery. They also the quality of the milk and the quality of the ghee, the paneer, it's amazing. Even the moringa powder. Now the way they have sort of done it, they have the entire base over there. Agriculture was one of their main sources of income, but now of course these two brothers who've studied and they've gotten the technology and they've gotten the marketing and the branding and all of those aspects when they started the company, and then they of course have their offices in Pune and Mumbai, and now we go to a Nature's Basket or we go to a food hall, and it's so nice to see Two Brothers Organic Farm products actually on the shelves here. So that sort of is a good example of a backward integration, I would say. Whereas they are practicing, and these are honest practices in terms of to provide organic products to the market. Vis-a-vis also, they are reaching out to a base like Mumbai, where everyone's very health conscious and organic produce is highly sort of sought after.
So, slowly we are getting there actually.
100%.
Because that's the way to go, because we have had so many pesticides in our system
Of course.
for the longest time, unawareness.
Yes.
Now that the awareness has come in, you think more people are going to start practicing in the future?
Absolutely, and I feel it's the need of the hour as well, because health is the most important factor. Be it, I mean, we all do it eventually, so that we can live a good, long, and a healthy life. And especially post COVID, I feel that everyone's really become health conscious. They really are investing in good quality organic products produced. So then I feel it's very, very important.
The transformation that, obviously when we do these good things, election campaign में कुछ तो impact पड़ता होगा.
Of course.
So how is it actually helping you there?
Helping meaning the work vis-a-vis the campaigning bit?
Yes.
Or so that's of course like a different ball game altogether. So now we are approaching into the whole election year. The code of conduct is on. Voting is, I think, in 3 weeks from now is when the first phase of voting for Lok Sabha starts. I feel for a party like BJP, and I would like to speak for the party like BJP because I'm the youth president for Pune district for the party. I feel the party has, or like our prime minister and the whole government in the center and in the state, has done so much work for the development. Now, if I have to speak of the work, or I would rather highlight the most impactful work that they've done, which is infrastructure. You speak of the roads, the railways, the highways. It's India has seen the massive amount of transformation which probably was not even thought of 50 years ago.
Right.
Today you see the highways with Mr. Gadkari's initiatives in it. It's transformed, and it's not just for Maharashtra or Gujarat or Madhya Pradesh. Right from Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari, all the highways and the quality of the highways is absolutely exceptional. Then when we see an Atal Setu, it's again been like an absolute transformation for people who are living in Mumbai and who wish to go to Navi Mumbai, Pune, or that part of the area. Then we speak of the coastal road, which is such a relief for us people in also living in Mumbai. So all of these, these are just several projects which sort of have had a personal impact on us. So that's when I highlight. The other important factor is, of course, the Vande Bharat. Now, with sort of adapting to the Japanese technology and to having such a transformation, like today, when I have to go to Indapur from Mumbai, it takes me 5.5 hours. And it's a seamless journey. You can sit in the train, you can work, and you're literally there in 5 hours. Vis-a-vis traveling by road, which sometimes because of the whole traffic situation might take a little longer. So all these aspects sort of bringing in ease into the whole infrastructural segment, and the work that I think the BJP has so successfully done has been phenomenal. So that's why I feel that, when it comes to political campaigning, the work has been discussed and spoken about so much that right now they don't really need to go very hard out and about, even if I think through social media and through a couple of rallies, and they're good.
So that means we've already hit the BJP has already hit the bell button for winning.
100%. There are no doubts about it. Now the only question is the numbers. I feel BJP is going to win with a stomping majority, and like Prime Minister Modi ji said, कि आपकी बार 400 पार. So that is what we are heading at, and that is what we all कार्यकर्ताओं of BJP are working for.
Wow, lovely. So youths जब आप कहते हो तो does Modi ji get involved in this whole thing? How does he address y'all, or how does he meet y'all, or how do you guys, talk to him, converse with him, get his side of the ideas? How does that happen?
So most of it, of course, happens through social media. It happens through a lot of these online interactions that go on. Along with that, there are a lot of programs, a lot of schemes. So there are the schemes that we have to implement on the ground level, which we have to report it to the central government. And then there are certain schemes where if we are like there was a Meri Mati Mera Desh campaign, which we ran all across the country, and the final program of it was basically collecting mitti from from your own village, and you had to take it and go to Delhi. So we from Maharashtra, around 3,000 of us, collected the mitti from all our respective villages, and we went and we gave it there was a big function which was held in Delhi, where the Prime Minister himself was there, and that was a complete UA program. So the youth from all over the country came together, and those were around in lakhs, those numbers. So there are these several initiatives that happened. Then there was a Yuva Matadata Sammelan also that happened, which was connecting the new voters. Modi ji wanted to speak to 1 crore voters from the age of 18 to 22. So that was another massive event that we organized last month, where he spoke about the schemes he's got for the youth. He spoke about the vision he has for today's youth. So that is sort of in different mechanism and ways is in which he connects to the youth audience as well.
So in this Meri Mati, what was the real agenda of taking the mitti to Delhi? क्या वो कोई टेस्ट के लिए था या क्या वो जस्ट जनरली एक कहते हैं इमोशन था?
It was all about the emotion, because I feel India is a country which is run by emotion. We are, of course, no matter which part of the world we go in, I will always be this one girl who is from Indapur, and the connect I will have with with my people, with the soil, with the land where I'm born, so that no one can take away. So similarly goes for all the youth. So when we were actually told to collect the mitti from the land, from like our birthplace, and to take it to Delhi, so that was like this different emotion with which this whole sort of program was run, and it sort of, I think, invoked that different feeling of patriotism amongst all the youth.
You got me all emotional about. How nice, it's wonderful. Okay, tell me, other than that, nepotism, what kind of a role does nepotism play in this whole, journey of being a politician?
So again, a very interesting topic. So nepotism, it goes two ways. So one way to look at it is the fact that those who come from political families or families who work in the public life have it a little bit more easier compared to the others. Second way to look at it is, of course, when you come from an influential family or a family who's had a significant impact in society, the shoes are also very large to fill. So it goes both ways. But having said that, the Bharatiya Janata Party doesn't function. It doesn't it doesn't advocate nepotism or parivarvad for that matter. Whatever it is in this party is as per your merit. So today, if an XYZ person has to contest from a constituency for a Lok Sabha or for a Vidhan Sabha, it is purely and purely on the survey reports, and the survey reports is purely and purely on the ground level work that is done. Only if you are you've done significant amount of work on the ground, you have the merit by your side, the people down there are really sort of attached to you and are fond of you, only then that report sort of goes up, and only then based on merit is when the ticket is given, or based on merit when XYZ post is given. So it's absolutely based on merit. So BJP doesn't really support nepotism or parivarvad. It doesn't get into all of that.
But it's a very big achievement, because all these years that we have seen, it has always been legacy. बच्चा अब ये सीट ले लेगा.
तो जी कैसे होता है ना कि जस्ट बिकॉज आप वो फैमिली में बॉर्न हो, उसकी वजह से आपको वो सीट मिलनी चाहिए, ये बहुत गलत बात है. क्योंकि कभी कभार ऐसे होता है कि आपका इंटरेस्ट भी चाहिए, और ये फील्ड ऐसे है कि आप आपका इंटरेस्ट फेक नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि ये 24 आवर्स जॉब है. आपको लोगों में रहना पड़ता है, लोगों की समस्या जाननी पड़ती है. यू हैव टू एड्रेस actual real problems, and it's a very very serious job. So unless and until you're in it completely, you can't go ahead with it. You might stretch it for 1 or 2 years, but then beyond that you can't take it. So unless and until, that's why the legacy, you might have seen legacy politics is changing, not because you are so and so son or daughter you will get that post. Only and only if you have your skin in the game, only and only if you have your interest and you are passionate about it. I think being passionate also, for today's youth is very important. Unless and until you enjoy it, you won't be able to do justice to that job.
So as a layman, हम लोगों को ये बातें पता नहीं चलती कि ये इसलिए नहीं आ रहा क्योंकि इसने काम नहीं किया है, या ये इसलिए आ रहा है क्योंकि इसने काम किया है। एज अ लेमैन हमें ये बातें नहीं पता चलती। हम ये ज़रूर देखते थे क्योंकि ये इनका बेटा है, अब ये भी पॉलिटिक्स में है। पर ये बात जान के बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है कि दिस हैज़ चेंज्ड, बिकॉज नहीं तो जो रियल काम करने वाले लोग होंगे वो कभी भी ओपन में नहीं आ पाएंगे, या वो कभी भी दिखेंगे नहीं। सो इसके लिए आपको क्या लगता है, डू यू थिंक कि मोर एंड मोर पीपल, बिकॉज ऑफ दिस थिंग दैट दे आर गेटिंग मोर एंड मोर एक्सपोजर, आर दे आर गेटिंग मोर एंड मोर इन्वॉल्व्ड?
100%, बिकॉज आई थिंक अल्टीमेटली ये देश सेवा है। अल्टीमेटली आप जब पूरे समाज में, आप आपके विलेज में, आप आपकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी में काम करते हो, या फिर आप अगर एब्सोल्युटली नए हो, बीजेपी में अगर आपको शुरुआत करनी है तो आप मतलब राइट फ्रॉम पार्टी का झंडा लेके आप प्रोग्राम्स में जाके आप यूथ से कनेक्ट करके, आप महिला हो तो आप महिला रिलेटेड जो सारी स्कीम्स है उसमें आप अवेयरनेस स्प्रेड करके जब वो ग्रास रूट पे जाते हो, देन देर आर दी सेवरल, it's like a hierarchy structure. So when you actually work and you establish your network, you sort of take all the schemes right on until the right person, the right voter, or a right citizen of the country. And when you sort of become a part of the ecosystem, and if you're doing good work, if you're consistent, and if you're passionate, I feel there's a good future for anyone, for that matter, in the party.
एंड जो भी रियली पॉलिटिक्स से कनेक्ट करता है, या मतलब उसको लगता है कि वो बनना चाहता है, आज उसके लिए ज़्यादा इजी हो गया है।
डेफिनेटली आपको अगर, जैसे मैंने बोला, आपको अगर वो, इफ़ यू हैव इट इन योर हार्ट that you really want to devote that much amount of time, effort, energy to the people, to actually solving real problems. So there's one very interesting thing I'd like to tell you is, I have seen the best of both worlds, but still I am at peace. At the end of the day, when you're working in the urban area vis-a-vis when you're living in a rural area and solving, the end of the day, when you are in your bed and you're actually going off to sleep, that sense of satisfaction or that sense of fulfillment, one would not probably have doing a corporate job or a business in a city. But when you're actually in a rural area and when you've solved those real problems, when because of your one phone call, one life has been saved, or one person has got an employment because of which the family finances are going to run, or you've sought out some major problem in the rural belt, which is, I feel, that fulfillment which you get, that no other corporate job or business is going to give you. That's my personal opinion, of course.
तो हम जब छोटे थे हम बहुत सुनते थे, कमिंग बैक टू योर ग्रैंडफादर इन लॉ, कि लोगों को बहुत जस्टिस मिलता है जब वो बाला साहेब ठाकरे के पास जाते हैं, एंड उनकी जब सभा लगती थी, उन्होंने इतने लोगों को बचाया है। वी ऑल्सो एज किड्स, जब हम लड़कियां बाहर जाती थी, हमारे घर के बाहर ही एक शाखा प्रमुख था, एंड हम बहुत सेफ फील करते थे क्योंकि वो वहाँ था।
ऑफ कोर्स।
एंड ये हमारे एरिया का बच्चा है या बच्ची है तो उसके ऊपर कुछ गलत नहीं होना चाहिए, वॉज द थिंग दैट ही यूज टू फॉलो। और उस वजह से बहुत ही सिक्योर्ड लाइफ जी है हमने। एज इट इज़ बॉम्बे हैज़ ऑलवेज बिन वेरी सेफ, पर उनकी वजह से एक मोहर लग गई थी कि ये उनका टेरिटरी है और यहाँ कुछ गलत नहीं होगा। उसके बाद, उनके जाने के बाद हमने बहुत चेंजेस देखे। जब आप ये कह रहे हो तो मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है कि कि वापस उस तरीके का लेवल ऑफ सेटिस्फैक्शन आ रहा है जब आप किसी को बचाते हो, या किसी की लाइफ बचती है, या किसी को बेनिफिट होता है आपके किसी एक फ़ोन कॉल से। सो अच्छा लग रहा है ये सुन के कि देयर इज़ अ सेंस ऑफ सिक्योरिटी व्हेन यू आर गोइंग टू अ पॉलिटिशियन। आप वैसे भी उनको इसलिए एड्रेस करते हो क्योंकि वो कोई और अच्छे लेवल पे होते हैं या आपसे बड़े होते हैं, उनकी कनेक्ट ज़्यादा होती है, वो आपको बचा सकते हैं। और जब वो ऐसे सिचुएशन में आप हो तो यू फील नाइस। सो अदर देन दैट, आपको क्या लगता है कि और कैसे हेल्प कर सकते हो आप जो युवा है उसको, या जो हमारे बॉम्बे के या महाराष्ट्र के या इंदापुर के जो लोग हैं उनको आप कैसे हेल्प कर सकते हो?
आई थिंक युवा के दृष्टिकोण से अभी सबसे जो मेजर फैक्टर है वो एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है। और आने वाले आई थिंक कई सालों में, जैसे मैंने अभी आपको बताया कि हमारे फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट भी हमारी पिछले 2 हफ्ते पहले साइन हो चुकी है। लॉट ऑफ फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट्स ऑल्सो विल कम इन इंडिया, लॉट ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चरल इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट विल ऑल्सो हैपन, जिसकी वजह से आज हमारे युवाओं को भी उस तरीके से ज़्यादा एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ भी उनको ज़्यादा मिल सकती है। स्टार्टअप इंडिया ऑल्सो has been doing well. Lot of youth today are into startups. Lot of youth even in the rural segment are also into different kinds of startups, which is quite amazing. Also in terms of artificial intelligence, today even in the Davos 2024 summit, it was all about artificial intelligence. And of course artificial intelligence in several industries, several sectors is coming in India as well. How is that sort of going to influence the current employment market per se, or also sort of how is that technology exchange going to happen, and how is that sort of going to impact? So I feel that these are exciting times ahead, for India and for the youth, in terms of a lot of different prospects. So I can't really, so now that the whole traditional mechanism of doing business, or traditional mechanism of just getting XYZ education and doing a particular job till the time you retire, those trends are changing. There are income opportunities, employment opportunities in different sectors, which I think our youth should explore. And me as a youth leader, or a sort of like someone who's out there to help the youth, I want to make everyone sort of aware more on these platforms.
So you are out there to help all of them.
Of course.
और आपको क्या लगता है कि कैसे हेल्प करोगे आप? Suppose somebody comes with a problem. What kind of problem do you think that you will be able to solve for them?
So it depends on the problem.
Yeah, like.
But if it's the youth, for that matter, like I said, it's mainly to do with some or the other work opportunity. So to sort of make sure these different opportunities come. So Maharashtra is a land of opportunities. I mean, we have several MIDCs. In Indapur itself, my father sanctioned a 5-star MIDC in the early 2000s, and it has around 60 to 70 odd massive MNCs today. So which is, of course, providing employment. When it comes to the sugar belt, now if I have to speak of from the sugar perspective, we are from Western Maharashtra, which is like a dominated sugarcane belt. We ourselves have several sugar factories there, which again provide massive employment to a lot of the people who are living in our constituency. Alongside that, we have educational institutes as well, which provide employment to the youth in a big way. So there are these several other initiatives. We are also now venturing into milk. So Milk Federation as well, through that as well, we are generating employment. So another very different mechanism, if I have to explain it to you in terms of, so we have a tie-up with Amul. We supply around 1.5 lakh liters of milk every single day to Amul. It's a small setup that we've done. And now to sort of see the backward integration. So now what we've done is, for the youth, every single day, so what we've done is there are these milk collection centers. So it's a very small example, but I'd like to share it. There are these milk collection centers in several villages. So we've encouraged all the youth and all our karyakartas and everyone whoever comes to us, and we were like, okay, of course you do a job, great, but alongside that have this ancillary business as well. So they have these small bulk coolers and small milk collection centers, which these youth have started, and they collect all of it. Maybe say might be 3,000 liters or 5,000 liters, and they come and they give it to deposit it into our massive collection center, our sugar milk unit, and that's what goes to Amul. So now they have a separate level of income they're generating at the age of 20, 21 and 22, which is amazing because that's making them financially independent. They are opening their avenues. This is also like a different sort of a setup that we could do.
That actually provides a lot of employment.
Of course it does.
Other than milk, there is sugarcane, you said.
Sugarcane, yes.
How does that go?
So sugarcane is a huge setup. Of course, the industries, so currently, I mean, we have employed in all our organization, the Sugar Factory Institute, Milk Federation, around 5,000 plus employees. They work for us, and that is again, I mean, it's been going on since my grandfather, then my father expanded it, and now we are the next generation who are also sort of responsible to taking it to the next level. We are also working on expansions on the ethanols. Ethanol is another major product that we are manufacturing, because now that's I think would require another podcast altogether.
No,
if
but
I
can
have
you
to
just
speak.
brief us a little about ethanol, because ethanol now exactly has been quite trending.
Yes.
So
So again, all the credit goes to our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi's vision, and Mr. Gadkari's vision as well, because owing to the the pollution levels in our country, which are detrimental to our health, and now that ethanol is, there's a lot of R&D that happened. There was a global biofuel alliance that was signed with Brazil during the G20 summit, which was a monumental move that happened. Today we are blending ethanol at around 11%. Our prime minister's goal is to blend ethanol at around 30% in the next 3 years. So they have given several incentives, several remuneration schemes to a lot of these sugar factories and to these ethanol units. So then they have expanded. So a lot of sugar cane. So today, of course, we are meeting with the domestic consumption of the sugar in the country, but vis-a-vis whatever surplus that we are producing, instead of sugar, now we are of course producing a lot of ethanol. And tomorrow, to sort of explain it a little more simply, ethanol is the next fuel, because
Right.
petrol and diesel are sort of fuels that are at some point going to be extinct. So we have to look at alternative options, and ethanol is a very, very viable green fuel that we've come up with. And I think the Indian economy, the Indian infrastructure has sort of adapted it very well. And there's a lot of R&D also going on in the automobile sector. SIAM is a major institute who does a lot of these research and development in the whole segment. So I feel in the next coming years, Mr. Gadkari has his own EV vehicle. In the next coming years, I think both you and I will be driving
EV vehicles.
EV vehicles, or vehicles that are run completely on ethanol.
So now talking about Mr. Gadkari, he's one of my favorite again. उन्होंने street food. I'm just
Yes.
taking it to an like vada pav being his favorite food. ऐसा आपका भी कोई favorite food है, like Mumbai street food or Indapur street food?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we come from a family, everyone's a foodie, and we love our food. Most of our conversation, if not politics or other things that are going on, it's always food. And having said that, of course, vada pav is a personal favorite. But coming from Indapur and coming from this whole rural belt of Maharashtra, my favorite food, street food rather, would be misal pav.
And where is it best available?
So it's the one, of course, best available is at this one little shop which is there in Indapur. The next time you do visit, and please do come soon, I'd like to take you there. And he makes it the best, because we come from an area, we love spicy food. Like if it's not spicy, we won't eat it. Like we are really obsessed with our spice. So the one that over there that we get in Indapur, it's absolutely amazing.
How do you eat it? Like, मतलब उसमें थोड़ा सा can you elaborate on?
So basically, it's again, I mean, how he makes, how this one place in Indapur makes it, and of course how so every area makes it differently. I think Kolhapur makes it differently, and Indapur and Pune district, like this belt, sort of makes it differently. It's basically like you have your matki usar, your pulses, and they are sprouted. Then along with that, then there is farsan. So so basically the taste of it is on two things. One is the farsan, the quality and the how you make the farsan, and the second is how you make the rasa. The rasa is the gravy, because the gravy, and then of course the oil and the whole masala that goes on it. So every area has a different masala. So I, of course, being from Indapur, I love the masala which is made from there. So it's like the sprouts. There's some potatoes, then there's the farsan, and then there's the rasa on top of it, and there's some shave, and then also there's chopped onion and chopped tomatoes.
And you have to eat it with a pav?
You have to eat it with a pav. Just absolutely amazing. It's like that is like my favorite street food to go.
How do you balance the role of a politician and a wife? And I mean, I'm sure in the future you will be a mom, and there are a lot of roles given to a lady any which ways. But how do you balance it?
I think it's all priorities and time management, and most importantly, it's the support. So my parents, my mom and my dad, and now my husband, and the way all of them support me, it's amazing. Because without that, honestly, no matter how evolved we are, no matter today the men and women are equal, and I'm a absolute like a strong advocate for women empowerment, but having said all of that, we women also have this added responsibility of our family, and just to make sure everything is in its place. We are not only sort of involved in our career, we need to have our house as well balanced, all of these factors. But I, of course, growing up, have seen my mother do it. And I think it's having the right communication, the right balance, and also sort of savoring the little time you have with each other is very, very important. And my husband, I mean, I've been married for 2 years, and my husband is also very supportive. I think he's very passionate about me being in politics, sometimes more than even I am. So he's very, very supportive. He's also been like like a strong backbone in every aspect. So because there are days when no schedule is fixed, we might have something scheduled for tomorrow, but I might wake up and have some emergency or some important program to run, and then he will always be like, okay, no, he does prioritize my work many times, and only because of that I feel it's I can do what I do with my utmost best.
Yeah, because that's very important, especially when you have to travel, you have to go to places, and itna time ho jata hai, and So, doesn't he want to come into politics ever?
I think it's in his blood. For him, he's of course very successfully represented Mr. the Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena, Balasaheb Thackeray Shiv Sena, which is led by Mr. Eknath Shinde, with all the court hearings that have happened whole of last years after the split. So he very successfully has represented the matter at the Supreme Court, and he's done like a phenomenal job at it. And I feel whenever the time is right for him, he would venture into it. But he doesn't need, because like I said, it's for him, it's in his blood.
True. And what about your family? Like, who do you think, as like all the time taking the decisions, or doing the playing the best role? Is it mommy or dad?
I think it's my mother. My mother is like this one important factor which glues everyone together. She is someone who knows everyone's pros and cons and best capacities and not. And she's someone who pushes like the other person to their absolute limit. Look, so if it wasn't for her, we all would not have been what we are today. And she's like this absolute sort of like the center of our universe. She knows at every point of time, every day, who's doing what and who's going to go for which function and all of that. And before going to bed, she always will take like a small review meeting as to what all is done. And where we've gone wrong, she'll always be like, okay, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have said this maybe you can do it in a much better way. So I think it's my mother for all of us, including my husband, for my husband. Yeah.
Very big yogdan of her in all your lives.
Absolutely, very, very big. Like honestly, even when I had come back from my masters, and I was sort of exploring work opportunities in India, and then I got an opportunity to go to Harvard, and she's like, nothing doing, go for it. And it took like a while to sort of speak to my dad and all of it, but then she was always in it. She always had this thing: whatever you do, whatever you decide to do, just make sure you do it in the best possible way. That's
Wow,
always her.
that's
She's like, there's no point being mediocre. Whatever it is you do, just give it all your best. And she makes sure like we do it
that
also.
happens. So, what about the other than, see, obviously, mom has done her best, you have done your best, but there could be some challenge that you have faced in this political career, पहुंचने तक. Why I'm asking you is because these other kids or the other youngsters who want to join, it will be a message for them. What do you think are the challenges they would face and they should overcome to be where you are today?
I honestly feel politics or the social life, it's a very dynamic field. It keeps evolving at a very rapid pace because the situation and scenarios were very different. Honestly, since I started out a year into it and COVID hit. So when a pandemic like COVID had hit, no one had an idea how to deal with it, and we all were sort of grappling, and we more so coming from the whole rural belt, because there were the medical facilities were not enough, and we didn't have a vaccine and all of those factors. Apart from that, so like I said, that was, I feel, a very very challenging time. Now I feel, I used to think at some point that being a woman or being a young girl who's getting into all of it, how the whole perception, but I feel Maharashtra is very evolved in that respect. They sort of do respect women leadership. They do respect, they rather look at women a lot more seriously, is what I feel, which I'm amazed of, because like I said, I'm an advocate for women empowerment. Women leadership is also taken quite seriously here. They're respected, views are respected. So that, I feel, at some point was my reservation, but that again, like I said, has evolved. So whoever aspires to get into politics, the challenges at every step of the way are very different. Maybe the ones that I had, they might not face something similar because the time is going to be different.
But by studying political science or going to a good university, or understanding more about it, or working with the parties, you think it's a good opportunity for the youngsters today? It
I
brings in?
feel, of course, having a good degree does help. It gives like a basic know-how. More so, another important education is MPSC and UPSC. These competitive exams, I mean, a lot of students prepare for those and become either collectors or IPS, IAS officers when they know how the whole governmental structure works. And when they clear those exams, and of course, then they work and practice, and then when they decide to sort of either get into a political party or start working for a political party or contest an election, that really does help quite a lot. Having said that, we also have doctors today who are surgeons, who the path changes and they have to they sort of get inclined towards politics or inclines towards contesting. We have had one of our ministers also who's been a doctor. So I think we have lawyers who've graduated, become law. I mean, they've passed out, they've practiced, and now we see them in politics. So I feel in every step of I think having a good education and having like a general awareness of what's going on helps.
I would say, thankfully, India has more educated um, politicians than we had back in our times. Thankfully, because
Yes.
I think it's for a better world ahead. It's for a better India ahead, and BJP obviously is doing a fantastic job. So it was amazing talking to you about this whole thing. And if you want to give all हमारे मराठी मानुस को एक nice message, please, if you could go ahead and something that would encourage them, make them feel like you are there for them always.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here on this amazing
Pleasure.
chat show. And it's been quite, I mean, because I think whenever we discuss certain aspects, even we sort of do a lot of back thinking because we are otherwise just continuously working on the ground. So these sort of interactions really help us also to sort of realign our goals and just to make sure if we are also doing the best that we can in our field. So thank you so much for having me over, and it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you
Totally
so
pleasure.
much to for this. And in regards to the message, येणाऱ्या काळामध्ये जर आपल्याला भारत देशाला एक सक्षम पद्धतीने जर आपल्याला आपलं अर्थकारण स्ट्रॉंग करायचं असेल, आपल्याला परत एकदा येणाऱ्या काळामध्ये पंतप्रधान नरेंद्रजी मोदींना तिसऱ्यांदा संधी देऊन खूप मोठ्या फरकाने आपल्याला परत एकदा त्यांना पंतप्रधान करायचं आहे. आज युवकांचे जे प्रश्न आहेत, महिलांचे जे प्रश्न आहेत आणि शेतकरी बांधवांचे जे प्रश्न आहेत, ते एक चांगल्या पद्धतीने जर आज ते कुणी ॲड्रेस केले असतील तर ते आपले लाडके पंतप्रधान आहेत. आज भारत देशाची ओळख हे फक्त आपल्या पुरतीच मर्यादित न राहता आज एक देश पातळीवरती, एक आंतरराष्ट्रीय पातळीवरती एक वेगळी ओळख आज आपल्याला निर्माण झालेली दिसत आहे. आज G20 समिट सारखे असतील किंवा अजून वेगवेगळे जे स्कीम्स असतील, आज आता फ्री ट्रेड अग्रीमेंट पण आपली साईन झालेली आहे. या माध्यमातून एक आंतरराष्ट्रीय लेवलला सुद्धा एक वेगळ्या प्रकारची ओळख आज आपल्या भारत देशाची झालेली आहे. त्यामुळे परत एकदा एक आपल्याला चांगल्या पद्धतीचं अर्थकारण आपल्याला एस्टॅब्लिश करायचं असेल तर आपल्याला परत एकदा 2024ला नरेंद्र मोदीजींना पंतप्रधान करायचं आहे. धन्यवाद.
Thank you, Ankita. It was a really, really nice conversation with you. I hope हमारी जो यंगर जनरेशन है, जो नए बच्चे हैं, जो नए यंगस्टर्स हैं, पॉलिटिकल साइंस की तरफ और प्रोत्साहित हों, इस कॉन्वर्सेशन से प्रोत्साहित हों और पॉलिटिकल साइंस को एज अ करियर लें और इंडिया को एक बेटर इंडिया की तरफ लेकर जाएं. डोंट फॉरगेट टू हिट द बेल आइकन and like, share and subscribe to our channel, please.